it's time for us to talk about lines for just a minute. Yes, I know it's only day one, but you know what, Luds? You can start to get little hints in terms of what the coaching staff might be thinking about. Because while it is day one of training camp, they still chose to put these players together for a reason. Now, there were three groups. The first group, second group, A and B, were sort of split 50-50 of guys we expect to be on the NHL roster with some AHL guys. And then group C was mostly guys we expect to be AHL, invite, whatever. So don't take this as gospel, but let's take a look at what we saw when we combined the NHL lines from group 1 and group 2 together to what we think looks like maybe the opening start of the season kind of things. And this can change. But Luds, it was interesting that in group A,
how many people are screaming at this right now if you have that top line?
Benn, Johnston, and Rantanen.
Yeah.
It was immediately noticeable in the first group of the day. It wasn't Robertson, Hintz, Rantanen. It was Wyatt with Mikko and Jamie. What do you think about that?
I don't think that's going to be a line. That's what I think about that. But you don't know. You think Jamie Benn's going to play 24 minutes a night? I don't think that's going to happen. Okay, so that's not going to be a line. I mean, if you want to take Jamie and put him up there every once in a while and bring that edge to that line and a little create some space for those two guys, I can see that because again, there's nobody really. Now again, we'll see what Bastian's like and if he gets an opportunity because you got a little bit there.
That line group, the three of them, Oscar Beck, Radek Faxa, and Nathan Bastian, they were playing together.
Okay, but
Blackwell was in the other group.
I've seen it out of Blackwell, yes, and we'll see what's in Bastian. I haven't seen it out of Beck yet.
Yeah,
I don't consider him a physical player. I think he does what you want him to do.
He's
up
a big
and down.
body.
Yeah, he's a big body. But if you have and again, Kelly's going to say you're a big body.
I'll tell you, it was very noticeable today, standing ice level, when that second group came out and they're running through their drills, and you see the size of Beck, Faxa, Bastian. Those are three big guys.
Yeah, but if they play big,
yes,
you have to play big
for sure.
For that to be, I mean, the look is one thing, but I think for me personally, I would like to see Beck be more physical. I mean, maybe that's not his nature. I don't know, but I think you're right. Big guys, and I think they've got to be able to play their size at times, especially on that fourth line. You're out there sometimes to stir the spot, stir the pot, and maybe you got to change the momentum of a game sometimes by that kind of play. And Steele, Blackwell's not the same size as the other guys, but we see that out of Blackie when he plays. I mean, he gets in your kitchen, so we'll see. But again, when you have Jamie up there on the top line, I just don't see that happening.
The initial thought, and we were talking about it over the summer, was flip Rantanen and Bork. So you have Rantanen with Hintz and Robertson, Bork with Johnston and Benn. That makes more sense from a first, second, third line combination. But did you happen to pick up what Gully said yesterday when he talked about he wanted everyone to have a piece of the pie and playing in different roles? This is not going to be Pete DeBoer's, I like to have offensive scoring threats on four lines and roll four lines. The fourth line, as we said, Beck, Faxa, Bastian, are not going out there to score big-time goals. If they do, they want them. But they are going to be used as a big checking fourth line, and that means that they may not be rolled every fourth shift.
Right. They're going to be momentum continuers or momentum changers at times, which that's what they are. When you say a piece of the pie, that just means it doesn't mean you're all getting a piece of the power play. It doesn't mean you're all getting a piece of 25 minutes. It's just everybody's got a piece of the wins and everybody's got a piece of the losses. So he just wants to make everybody feel that they have something to do with the game one way or another. And so, and again, I agree if you're not going to continue to roll your lines, because there's nights that it hurts, because you have your top line or even your second line. Remember when you had Marchment and Duchesne and Sagan, right? To me, the way that they were playing when they were all healthy, there's no question they were one of the best lines in the league. But to have them miss every third shift, so to speak, miss a shift, I think you're taking away from the game.
Yeah.
I think you can, 1, 2, 3, then you go 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you can go 1, 2, 3, then you go 1, 2, 3, or however he wants to do it. But I think when you see that your top line is dominating games, Got to play more
than just every fourth shift.
Yeah.
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 Let's take a look at the defense for a minute because we're missing the fourth one just because of the space. But these were pairings today split over two different groups. But you had Lindell playing with Heiskanen. And then very noticeably, this is where it got interesting. Harley with Lundqvist, Bischel with Lyubushkin, and Kolyachonok with Petrovic. And again, they weren't all in the same group, but the pairings were still notable. What do you think about the way they're lined up right now?
Yeah, my first instinct was I don't know if Harley and Lundqvist can be a pair because again I don't see any weight on that team, so to speak. Thomas Harley's not a punishing defenseman. He plays the game with his legs and he's got the puck. Nils, he's not 6'3".
No.
So, but he's getting better at the defensive end of the game. But I think that pair needs some weight to it.
What would you
and
do
if you
differently?
flip flop, well, if you flip flop to two guys where their names start with an L, you got some weight in Bischel, you have weight in Lyubushkin, and now, I'm not saying that Essa plays an overpowering game, but he's just hard to play against in any way. So I think your top pair, I like Essa with Miro. I do because he's the conscience of the pair. So Miro, you want to go? I played with a guy like that. I played with a couple of them, Chelly and Zuby, obviously, but Zuby, just go. Like, we know how to, if you get caught up there or something else happens, we know how to play an outnumbered rush. We know how we can survive. I can hold down the fort enough till you get back. And so to put two offensive guys together, nothing wrong with that. That's what you do when you're, there's 4 or 5 minutes to go in a game and you're down a goal.
Mm-hmm.
I can see you rolling a couple of them, Harley and Miro together.
Let me ask you this. From a coaching perspective, to try to explain why they would put those pairings together, because I agree with you. I think stylistically flipping those two would make sense. Liam Bischel's still pretty young, still learning the NHL level, and you noticed some things when he got up here last year where, while it stood out, he popped in certain things, and then he did some things you're like, ooh, he's got to learn that. Having a more veteran, experienced guy like Lyubushkin next to him, as opposed to young Nils, does that make some sense and maybe why they have those together?
Yeah, I could understand that, but I just think that could be not a problem, but that second pair like that. Listen, when Petro played with him, they were a good pair.
With Bischel.
Yeah, they were a great pair. They played the same way. I guarantee you that there were some top lines that were out there, opposing top lines, that weren't interested in playing against those two because it was a lot easier playing against Miro. And nothing against Miro, and I'm talking about not defending. I'm talking about getting punished when you get around the front of the net or you come down the wall. And so you're kind of it gets them off their game a little bit. But when you put a couple physical guys out there, and it changes the tone of the way an offensive group wants to play. You don't. If you had Petro and Bischel playing, do you think that Robo and Mikko and Hintz are happy playing against them too when they've got support and they want to get out there. They would want to play against Harley and Lundqvist.
Yeah, because they're not a heavy pair.
Yeah.
In comparison. Well, it's interesting to see where it goes. Remember, the first preseason game does not give you all the answers. In fact, of the 6, maybe 1 or 2 will really give us better details. I mean, we'll start to see a line here or there, right? Because they'll have to have some NHL guys in each of these, but we'll also keep an eye on some young guys. We watched some in the prospect games last weekend. We'll see some more on Saturday when they play St. Louis, the first preseason game.
I think you're going to see I don't think Gully wants to mess with some of the chemistry that was going on last year. Just because he's here doesn't mean that there's going to be 12 forwards in there playing with guys that they didn't play with.
Did you notice that he also mentioned that he said I probably won't change the letters?
Yeah.
He's not coming in here to upset the apple cart.
No, I mean, because again, they're a good team. They were in the top 5 of the league.
He did say he's formed 2 leadership groups. And I went, 2? Because you hear about the leadership group of older guys that have sort of the sway of the team. Why 2?
I think you're trying to get because you're going to talk about the Sagans, the Benns, the Duchesnes, as that's your leadership group, or whatever you want to call it. I think you want a bunch of younger guys to
like your deputy leaders.
Well, you want them to integrate themselves into that. So that group, your leaders can help the younger guys and be around the older guys a little bit more. Because that's the evolution.
Yeah.
That's
interesting.
Wyatt gets a bigger voice and Bork gets a bigger voice. Bork has got to play and be an effective player before he's probably going to start piping up. Because you can't talk when you can't do it. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to be that. And it's the same thing for some other guys, whether it's Tyler, if he wasn't 100%, it's hard for Tyler to come in there and say, man, we got to get our legs going. when his shoulder's hanging off by a string. So I mean, again, so much of this obviously depends on health and stuff like that. But to me, that's what they're trying to do, is they're trying to get everybody to ultimately, because again, I told this thing lots of times, is Hitchcock had, and it worked. I mean, we had 4 or 5 leadership groups, whatever, and our job was to pull another 1 or 2 guys in every 2-3 weeks. Next thing you know, we got 16 guys that's part of the leadership group, right? And then the coach all of a sudden starts barking because we're starting to say the things that the coaches are saying. Then as a coach, you're standing in the back, you let them go. Now, everything that we've been saying, our players are saying. Our players are saying it. They've already bought in, and they know that it's successful. And the only way for anybody to buy in is you have to have success.